You don't need to slate. We know who you are. So first off, tell me, what is XCOM Enemy Within?
So Enemy Within is the expansion to XCOM Enemy Unknown, which we spoke about last year. And it came out last October. The team has been hard at work following that up with all the stuff that we didn't have time to get into for Enemy Unknown. So we're showing off some really cool stuff here. The players are going to get a lot more goodies with Enemy Within. Part of the theme of the last one, obviously, as you know, was consequences, having to play catch up with the aliens, reverse engineer weapons. Well, now you can take alien artifacts and instill them within yourself, which is part of the Enemy Within theme. So things like genetic modifications. You can now modify your brain, your eyes, skin, chest, legs to do things like turn invisible or see into the fog of war. So it really gives them this superhuman element. And you can also build your own mechs now. Adding mechs to video games is a very cool thing. And the mechs can engage in melee combat, which we did not have in Enemy Unknown. So it's a lot of really cool new stuff. And then we have guys like this. This is our mechtoid, new enemies. If we get new stuff, then obviously the aliens need new stuff as well.
So when you guys are approaching a new expansion, like first off, how early did you guys start coming up with some of these features? Was it during the development of the original game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a blend. The bulk of the work was done by lead designer Ananda Gupta with the theming and what we would actually be able to implement. But there were a few things piecemeal that actually came over from Enemy Unknown development that didn't have time to make it into Enemy Unknown. Things like the flamethrower. The mech suit can now use a flamethrower. We had that weapon somewhat working in Enemy Unknown, but it wasn't where we needed it to be quality-wise. But it fit. It fit well in Enemy Within. We had the time to make it work right. More maps. We have a ton more maps that we wanted to make for Enemy Unknown. I mean, all the fans wanted more maps. Now we're delivering almost 50% more new maps in brand new environments like farms. We have dams. We have crashed UFOs in cities now, not just in the wilderness. So stuff like that.
So, like at Firaxis, is it just like guys who got a whiteboard here, throw out ideas? Is it just like piling on? Like, do we want to see in an XCOM game?
Yeah, I mean, it's the design team at Firaxis is awesome. It's a mix of really, what inspires them, what they want to do, and they're super sharp guys. Like, they know what is best for the product, but they also really listen to the community as well, which is really important. The 2K forums, reviews, things like that will be taken into account. And get some loose ideas from there as well. But for instance, with Enemy Within, the lead designer Ananda Gupta, he worked in his office for a month alone, put a lot of ideas down on paper, presented them to the team, and we talked about them all together. And then things sort of iterate and develop from there.
Has the critical success of XCOM Enemy Unknown made you guys at all nervous to return? Like, are you guys like, oh man, we really need to, like, people are expecting a lot now?
No, I would say that was more difficult for Enemy Unknown itself, just because it was completely unknown what the reaction would be. But it has been super humbling and reassuring after we've released Enemy Unknown to hear from the community and hear from the fans, for the most part, how much they really, really like the game. And when you hear that and you get that type of feedback, you're just excited to put more goodness out there. And that's what we're doing with Enemy Within. It truly is the ultimate experience of Enemy Unknown. So I know the team is just ecstatic to get it into the hands of the fans.
So when can we expect Enemy Within?
It's going to be coming out this November 12th, for PC, Mac, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360.